end of day 3 at the IFA Congress, and this is the most eagerly awaited day at every Congress. Why? Because you have the OECD Tax Policy Director Pascal Saint-Amans delivering what is always a highly anticipated address ever since at least the BEPS project was announced 5 years back, circa Copenhagen. From there to now, we've come a long way, and that was underscored by Mr. Amans in a very big way this morning. I think what really caught everyone's attention, Kuntal, is the debate over the future of the arm's length principle. Mr. Ranjan struck the first blow. He said that the arm's length principle is under strain, the US is moving away from it, and Pascal Saint-Amans wasted no time in telling one of the panelists who was from US, and he told her very clearly that what exactly is the US trying to achieve. It is a vote of no confidence by the US Senate, by the US Congress on the arm's length principle. Mr. Ranjan also advocated fiercely the adoption of or moving closer to the significant economic principle, presence principle, SEP, that India has legislated. He batted for Nexus again. He batted for profit allocation based on cost of labor, cost of market, all of which is something that India has been propounding for long. But the point that caught everyone's eye today, everyone's attention, is the debate on the future of the arm's length principle, and it seems quite uncertain. For the first time, it really looks under strain.
I think in the first time there was an acknowledgement, if you would have noticed at the panel, that we are at the crisis position. You look at the international tax position, especially maybe on account of many conflicting positions which the countries are taking, that we are on a crisis situation. And you are right, the OECD session has been always much sought after session ever since 2013 Copenhagen Congress, ever since BEPS project was implemented. And you see how beautifully it is presented before the delegates. Like, you understand overall status on all the minimum standards, how they've been implemented, what is the progress, and how we can expect future work from the OECD on that subject. And the important presentation was also from David Bradbury, like on specifically on the concept of digital economy, where we are, how we are, and the most important and I think the difficult proposition looks like how are we going to get the desired consensus. And with that being said, I'm really quite optimistic if we can have final report in 2020, because everybody is having their own agenda. Like, if you see, EU is proposing to do something, and there are some 3 views within the EU, the EU, and if you see, US is also now trying to have their own version of BEPS, which is beat, as they call it, which is going to beat you up. Like, that's what you want.
Beat and guilty.
Guilty. It's going to make you feel more and more guilty.
But there was also another important debate that took place on certain provisions in the BEAT, and whether they are discriminatory against foreign headquartered companies, whether it amounts to a treaty override, or whether it is just an anti-abuse provision, whether it will stand the scrutiny of the US courts. Another fascinating debate.
I think, you would have always expected this in IFA Congress, especially this Congress being the first Congress after the US tax reform was enacted. And this was debated at all the public forum, that what US is proposing to do is, one, against its tax treaty obligation. Its non-discriminatory provisions are really invoked. If you see, that it's completely against the WTO concept. So it's going to be challenged. It's going to be challenged even by the taxpayers in US. An interesting proposition also made by the US advisor, I think, to what extent this act will continue to function, because if you see, there is a clear sign that not all are supporting this tax act. So it was going to be interesting how it is going to turn out in the future. And coming back to your point of profit allocation, so 2 important tests, nexus and profit allocation. And all the way, we always have understood that first you have to establish the nexus and then think about profit allocation. But today we have heard a huge shift, or a proposed shift from Pascal, that you first talk about profit allocation and try and find out what nexus will it established in a source state which will give right to tax that particular country. So it's a huge change, and I think we must compliment Mr. Ranjan. I think the way in which he articulated India's position, and you see India is turning out to be a trendsetter.
Absolutely.
We started with equalization levy. We already see one proposition where it is going to be implemented by, I think, Slovakia.
Yeah, France, Italy, all of them have some version of it.
And if you see EU, by and large, is coming with the same concept but in a different name, which is digital service tax. And then we are looking at SCP. And if you would have observed in the other session where there was some more analysis on the EU proposed SCP test, and you see the threshold are so low.
I think Pascal Saint-Amans clearly underscored where the turf, the debate turf is moving to. It said tax allocation of taxing rights. That's the turf to watch out for.
Right.
That is where now the debate will be played out.
And I think we can see in the time to come, the debate is also going to be around whether the AOA is going to stand its ground. That is what we would authorized OECD approach on the profit allocation. So are we shifting away from the pre-agreed and pre-understood profit allocation? I think there is a very clear debate taking place that we should look at profit split method, or whether we should go into some more other way of allocating the profit. So I think it's
fascinating time for the next 2-3 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Kuntal, you want to quickly talk about the panel that you're going to be on tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be another most important session which the Congress looks after, which is on recent development. And this session is going to touch upon at a very intricate level, even with something on US tax reform. We are also going to touch upon how the challenges are being faced on the determination of permanent establishment. Are we looking at the threshold for establishment of P coming down? And there's a whole lot of discussion on convergence, on increased disputation. I think we are forgetting that important aspect, that this ongoing BAPS implementation work and the unilateral action is giving rise to a lot of disputes. And how are we going to resolve those disputes?
Thanks, Kuntal. Thanks for joining us. That's all we have from day 4 at the Seoul Congress. Tomorrow we'll be back with the end of the Congress recap, and we'll get you all the highlights from the riveting technical sessions here.
Thank you.